Good evening. Welcome to the Devil's Den Playground of Horror series. I am your host, Keya Reed. Tonight, I will bring you back to a tale called Hansel and Gretel. Of course, there's many versions of the story told in many countries, but did you know that it was based on actual events in history? The story of Hansel and Gretel as we all know it.
What's up, everybody? This is Keya from the Majesty channel on YouTube, and you are listening to the Devil's Den podcast, the show that discusses books, poetry, movies, and facts in the genres of horror, paranormal, and true crime genres for folks who love dark, mysterious, and terrifying content.
Good evening. Welcome to the Devil's Den podcast. I am your host, Keya Reed. This week is the continuation of the Playground of Horror series, where we are exploring the dark origins of popular fairy tales, children's stories, and nursery rhymes. Today, we will be delving into the story of Hansel and Gretel. The tale is believed to have originated in Germany in the early 19th century. It follows the story of two siblings, Hansel and Gretel, who were abandoned in the forest by their parents during a time of famine. Lost and hungry, the children come across a gingerbread house occupied by a wicked witch who lures them in with her sweet treat. Little do Hansel and Gretel know, the witch plans to fatten them up and eat them. However, the siblings manage to outsmart the witch and escape back to their home, where they are reunited with their father. The original story is much darker than the popular version we know today. In the original tale, the mother is the one who suggests abandoning the children in the forest. Additionally, the witch is not just a child-eating monster, but is also depicted as a devilish being with demonic powers. Now, historically, Hansel and Gretel was also a depiction of events that occurred back in 1314 during the Great Flood and Great Famine. The Great Famine affected 30 million people, 400,000 square miles of Europe, and ended up with 25% of the population being led to death. The famine was so bad that it resorted to peasants eating the seeds they had stored for planting. People starting begging, stealing, and committing murders just to bring food to their tables. Also, parents started abandoning their children, having them to fend for themselves. It's also been rumored that the children and extracted bodies of the dead became a choice of protein for the family's meals. Despite its dark origin, the story of Hansel and Gretel has remained popular for centuries, inspiring numerous adaptations and interpretations. And that's it for tonight's episode. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Devil's Den podcast, please share this episode with your friends or whoever might be interested in the Devil's Den podcast. If you are watching the podcast video on YouTube, please hit those like and subscribe buttons, as it will help the Devil's Den algorithms and assist me further with reaching people who would like to listen to the episodes aired each week. May you all have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Thanks again for listening to the Devil's Den podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review. To catch the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Wicked Majesty and on Twitter at Wicked Majesty, and also on Facebook, Wicked Majesty. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Sleep tight and don't let the shadows fight.